Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to this conversation for small business owners. With us today is Rebecca Sabogal, and Rebecca is the founder and managing partner of PIC Operating Group. PIC partners with growth stage service businesses help build value. Rebecca's passionate about building businesses that create real value, make a positive impact in the world. She's a wife, a mother, a widow, and she weaves themes of resilience into her work, drawing both from personal and professional experiences in order to help others lead through adversity and build with purpose. You can often find Rebecca on a nature walk with her family. And Rebecca, if I'm not mistaken, I think you enjoy dark chocolate too, right?
I do. I'm debating whether it's 70% or 80% I like better, but yes.
The 60 cacao percentage is a big conversation in our home as well, so I get that. Rebecca, it's great to have you here. Joe Steigman is also with us. Joe is a business broker that focuses on Middle Tennessee Main Street business-like restaurants, logistics businesses, construction services. And Joe really helps owners start their retirement through either hiring a general manager to run their business for them or selling it outright. So Joe, great to have you here with us as well, my man.
Great to be here. Thanks, Dallas.
Of course. Yeah. And then finally is Michael Rincker. He's with us as well. And Michael is an accomplished go-to market strategist. He's part of PIC with Rebecca, the PIC Operating Group. And Mike is a proven builder of systems that drive serious results. Mike has generated over $100 million in new revenue. He scaled sales teams for both domestic and global markets, and he helps founder-led companies turn signal into strategy by building repeatable sales engines that actually scale. Mike, it's great to have you here as well, my man.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, of course. And so for those of you who don't know me as well, my name is Dallas Amsden. My company is called Communicate to Succeed. I work specifically with small and medium-sized business owners on their leadership soft skills. I believe that communication allows us to succeed more in life, relationships, and most importantly for this conversation, in business. And so I love to do that with leadership teams, not just on their soft skills with their teams, but their presentation skills, running better meetings, et cetera. So we have an amazing conversation here for you today. Specifically today, guys, we want to talk about this idea of when it comes for small and medium-sized business owners, really lack of clarity. And some of the steps that are part of that, whether it's planning, whether it's their marketing messaging, their overall vision, et cetera. So Rebecca, what do you find is really one of the biggest issues for small to medium-sized business owners when it comes to their vision and their strategic planning?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dallas. I think one of the most clear issues that is present happens when there's a lack of clarity. And what I mean by that is that if it is not clear what that vision is that organization is shooting for and that everybody else is aligned with, things get lost. It's very easy to get distracted, to chase shiny balls, instead of really focusing on the key drivers that are going to result in the highest return on investment. What I like to say is at PIC, we like to work with leaders and founders to get off the day-to-day process and the more of the minutia and actually get on the activities that are going to power their rocket ship of growth. So that can look like, instead of, trying to translate what the process is and fixing what's like where all the fires are inside, getting that set up well, and then getting on to the things that are going to be like building partnerships, looking at what are the things that are going to increase our margin, our IP, organic or inorganic acquisition opportunities. And so making sure that vision is really, really clear. It lines everybody. It makes it very easy to say no more clearly and respectfully, but it doesn't get you as distracted, because as a leader and as a founder, your time is so, you can go a million different directions and people are contacting you. So you having that clarity of where you're going with your leadership team, and then also your whole organization, and everyone can say, I see myself in that vision, and I know how what I am doing is impacting that, from the CEO to the leadership team, to the middle management, to the individual contributors. If everybody's aligned, you're going to have the biggest impact. And I've seen that from working with organizations, being able to be very clear about this is where we're going. And it just dramatically improves the morale as well as the results. So that's something I would say.
I love that. I'm a big fan of simplicity in general, and sometimes the more simplified your game plan, because a lot of small to medium-sized business owners, they say yes to a lot.
Yes.
I know one of their biggest struggles is that they're spinning their tires, especially on strategies. So specifically with what you do with PIC, it sounds like you really help clarify that so they actually know what to say no to, which sounds like it simplifies and maybe speeds up their processes.
Yes. And I think so often people are like, we're working so hard, we're doing all this activity, but they're spinning their wheels because they're not spending on the things in the right way or the right order or the right prioritization that are going to get them from A to B the quickest and most efficient manner and make the biggest impact for them and their clients. So that's what we look through in the lens of everything is that, is it effective? Is it the right order? Is it right for your organization? Is it right for your clients? Is it right for your industry? And so that's why working with a group like ours is really impactful, is because we're not just coming in to drop in a PowerPoint solution and leave. We're here to actually deliver results and walk with you and make sure you have the right either teammates internally, or we help you hire the right people to make sure that machine runs well, or you can work with us ongoing. And we always keep it in the mindset of, does it build value? And does it solve the problem?
Yeah, that's good. I know too, one of those lifeblood elements of business is actually the sales engine behind that too. And Mike, I know that's a big part of what you do. So talk to us a little bit. I know that one of the big issues that you work with business owners, especially through PIC with Rebecca, is their ICP. I'm going to let you define that for everybody, and specifically how business owners struggle with their ICP and how you help clarify, and then really what that does to the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Well, ideal client profile is the word that we're focusing on. So ICP, ideal client profile, kind of interchangeable here. And what I tend to compare this to is it's a very similar situation to when you've recruited somebody into your company. You've spent a ton of resources, ton of time, ton of your company's money, frankly, to get somebody in the door. And then all at the very end, when that person might start at your organization, you find out that maybe they don't have the skill sets to cut it and help you, really accomplish the goal that you want. And so I see the same thing happen all the time with sales, where companies who aren't firm and clear on their ICP, and they tend to spend a lot of time focusing on the wrong company or the wrong person within the company. And then it leads to burnout, failure, low conversion rates, low, contract values. And then that creates a whole lot of different challenges. And so at PIC, what we try to do is we work with you to define, what is that ICP? Okay, where are they at? Where are the watering holes where all of your prospects might be? And how do we find them? And once you identify the ICP, you can really take your sales cycle from that 6 to 12 month scenario down to maybe even a quarter if you're really detailed with it. And then you share that information with your team. And so one of the things that I encourage companies to do is start to think about, what are those emotional triggers and those emotional things that you can use and you can help to talk about with that prospect when you get them on the phone. And then what are the company pains that they're experiencing? What are those pains that your company can resolve? How does PIC help? Well, that's where we come in and we start to clear up the confusion around the ICP so that you're not spending your time spinning the wheels, chasing a company that maybe is a buyer 2 years from now. And instead, now you're focusing on the companies who are most ready to buy at this very moment. And one thing I think that you could do simply with your organization to make this really land is give your team some cards that show an ICP of the role that you want to sell into. And now every time that person on your seller team is going to be running into an ICP, they're going to have a list of how we help. What are the emotional pains? What are the company pains? What are the areas that we should probe at? What are the comparable clients that we have? And then your seller has that available to them at all times. They can pull it up on the phone, in the car, wherever, and be able to really relate with that ICP rather than kind of flying blind, chasing somebody who may not be ready to buy at the very moment.
That's great. And I think, Rebecca, to your point, with how you and Mike work so well together, is you've got this possibility of, once they're really clear on where they're going, what they're doing, it really makes this ICP even more clear, which it sounds like, Mike, from what I hear you saying, is it also really helps to speed the sales cycle in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of, again, everybody, for those of you listening or watching, the idea is put the blinders on. Don't get distracted by all the stuff. Put the blinders on who you serve, on the problems you solve. Mike, you said something really fascinating that I'd like you to dive into just a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind. You said, their emotional triggers. Can you talk a little bit about that emotional trigger element a little bit?
Yeah. I think that whenever you're on the phone, like a lot of times, we've all heard the sell me this pen, conversation.
Sure.
A lot of times sellers, they say, I want to tell you all about the features and the things that are going to be, helping you and your company. But really what I think that prospects, when they're speaking to somebody who's in a sales role, which, by the way, everybody in the world is like, their radar goes up like for BS whenever a sales guy enters into the room. So you want to make sure that you're
call that plaid jacket syndrome.
Exactly. Yeah. See, you want to make sure that when you're talking to somebody that you're going to say the things that are going to make the most impact. And so the points of where people tend to really start to think about you as a potential helper is when you talk about the emotional things. What are you really feeling like in your role? Are you overwhelmed? Do you feel like you're overpaid, paper pusher at your organization, where you went to college for, got a graduate degree, but here you are walking through your facility or walking through your office, waiting on somebody to hand over a signature? That's a very difficult part of your day. Yeah. So I would start to have conversations with people about, what are you really feeling? And then document that, because if that prospect is starting to see, or if you're starting to get those emotional pains from that prospect, other prospects are probably feeling the same thing. Yeah. And then you can say, well, typically we start to see that people are feeling this sort of way in your position. Are you feeling that way too? And then that way it starts to kind of frame things out for your team so that they can really say the things that are going to most land and convert those deals.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the old technique of feel, felt, found. This is how a lot of people that we know have feel, and this is what we've seen. And, so that feel, felt, found is really important. But again, it all kind of goes around the clarity of the direction and the vision to make sure that you're focused on the right things and really focused toward the right future. Joe, this is where the question's coming to you now, because you're looking at, and I know how you work with Rebecca and Mike as a real good partner here. The vision that they have for their next 1, 3, 5 years, whatever it might be, part of that is eventually someday to maybe, whether it's handed off to a child or sell the company or whatever it might be. What Rebecca and Mike are talking about really kind of sets you up to help them when it comes to valuation. So when we're talking about this topic of a lack of clarity, we've been talking about lack of clarity in the short term. Talk to me a little bit about lack of clarity in the long term and how you help clear that up.
Yeah, and let's think about it as if we're at the end of this story, right? I want to accomplish, like, how much is my business worth? I want to sell it, do something with it.
Yeah.
If you come to me as a business broker and you ask me that question and you tell me, hey, Joe, this is my business, I'm in pro services, really great business, really great industry, like, someone can buy this and then Rebecca and Mike can come in and do all these things with it. Like, how much is it worth? I'm going to kind of pump the brakes on that person and be like, it is worth whatever it is right now. What Rebecca and Mike and all these other things and all the potential, it's irrelevant. Like, it's not going to help you now in terms of your valuation. Just, it's wherever you are, which again goes back to this lack of clarity and vision. And what do you want to do? The question, I think, is, what do you want to be when you grow up as a business owner? Because, and there's no wrong answer, right? My North Star is always what's right for the client and their life and their personal goals. And if it's like, hey, I want to have a team of 5 to 10 and I want to stay at this size, And what I want to be when I grow up is just like a really smooth operating small business of this size.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's a great vision that provides clarity. And then you can engage Rebecca and Mike to build out a structure, process, strategy that fits for that. And then all of a sudden, we're in the beginning of the story where we started at the end, you might be just worth kind of whatever your book of customers is, whatever that amount is, respectable. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to be worth the highest end of quality within that kind of tier of the market. Now, on the other hand, you say, I want to be a scaled platform and I want to have multiple locations and I want someone who buys from me, or the next stage after me of this business is you can be a national, international brand. You still will need Rebecca and Mike to come in, but the strategy from that and where you're going and what the return on investment is from the dollars that you're going to put into different systems and strategies, a lot different. So then you come to me later and you're like, hey, I'm a scaled platform, Joe. What am I worth? I'm like, you're worth a lot. And I'm glad that you know, had this conversation, you thought about this early, because there is a lot of times where I talk to someone like, have you thought about exiting your business, or have you thought about what the value of your business is? And they say, well, you know, I'll come back to me in like 3 to 5 years and we can, then I'll have that discussion. My answer is like, you should have this discussion 10 years ago, the right time to think about what is the strategy, what is the vision, what kind of clarity do you need in your business? The right time is always yesterday.
Yep.
So you get that early, then you'll end up with a value of where you want.
That's good. I think there's something really to be said about you said a few moments ago, this idea of think of the end at the beginning. And I think that's an overarching theme of this idea of lack of clarity. And one of the things we have to do as business owners, and one of the things the four of us do when we're working with business owners, is we need to anchor them to a future point. And it's not just the sales they want, right? It's not just the structure they want. It's also the culture they want, and it's the future they want. And so when I'm working with teams specifically on their soft skills and running better meetings, and or working with their sales teams on getting through some of those struggle points, Mike, the conversation I'm having is, how do you want your people to lean into you? How do you want, because in the same way, and I hate to use the metaphor, but I'm going to, when as a dad, I have 3 different kids, all 3 of them have to be handled slightly differently, right? But I want to see the best for each of them in their future. So I have to communicate slightly differently with each of those people. And it's the same with our admin team, our executive team, our sales team, our marketing team, whatever it may be. All of those people have to be handled differently, but all of it is aimed at a brighter future. And so if we can encourage you, if you're watching this and you're a small business owner, we can encourage you, think about the future. Think about the outcomes you want, not just on the bottom line, but on the people line as well, right? That you want in your personnel and where you want down the road. So Joe, I love what you said there. You think about the end at the beginning. I think that's a really great encouragement here to get very clear. Rebecca, Mike, Joe, I'm going to just pass it off to you each one more time. Mike, you had said, and I wrote this down here in my notes, give your team some of those cards. I think that's a great little action item. Rebecca or Joe, do either of you have an action item right now that can really help someone get more clarity this week?
Yeah, I would say you need to ask every single person in the organization, where are we going and what do you do that makes that happen? That vision, being the vision.
Like
and
your
if
part
they say,
yeah,
what is your part in making the vision happen?
Yeah.
And if they can't answer you, that is a huge red flag that something's not translating.
Sure.
We can help with that.
I love that. That's great. Joe, how about you? What would you say is something someone can do this week to just get a little clarity on the future of where they want to go with this?
Look at the benchmarks in your industry and say, where do we need to be? And what is best, what is okay, and what is bad? And then you need to be defining, like, this is where best in class is, and you need to be working on that.
I love it. That's awesome. Mike, I know, again, you mentioned the cards, but is there anything else that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think just to kind of elaborate more on the cards, one thing you want to talk about on those cards, because you want to make sure it's something that's available quick and easy for your team. Talk about the company pains that you typically see, the emotional pains you typically see, areas that your sellers can probe at to make sure that they're covering all the bases. And then most importantly, how do you connect the dots and show the value that your company is bringing to solve the problem that they're experiencing?
Yeah, that's good. I would encourage all of those things if you're here watching and listening. This has been a conversation about lack of clarity. We're going to continue with some more conversations in this series here from our team. We're going to be talking about bottlenecks in your business. We're going to be talking about how to engage through poor performance, and then ultimately long-term valuation. So please be sure and join us for the rest of this series of conversations for small to medium-sized business owners. We appreciate you. Rebecca, Mike, Joe, thank you for being with me today. As always, everybody, what I like to say is go out there, have a championship day.